What's in season? What's in season? What's in season? I hear you ask. Clementines, everybody. Or I think the funny name they use nowadays is an easy peeler, which is just great. You can also get tangerines. They're a little bit bigger as well. So, of course, here in the UK, we don't grow our own clementines, I don't think. No, we don't. But I might have a few in a year's time or 10 years' time downstairs in my basement if you watch any of my other videos. Anyhow, so let's get on with this recipe. I'm going to make another cake. I've already done a beetroot one, and this time I'm going to do a clementine. It's kind of like a spicy cake with a syrup over the top. You can also be gluten-free if you want, so I'll show you as we go along. So yes, here are these lovely clementines. They're going to get very bruised if I keep throwing them around. That's what we've got there. So this cake, all it consists of are the clementines. We've got a fair bit of sugar here, 275 grams of sugar, but it's going to be divided. Then we've got 300 grams of ground almonds. This isn't almond flour. Almond flour is finer. So this is ground almonds here. There are the seeds of about 8 to 10 cardamom pods, and that's what gives it the spiciness. So that's that, and I will show you how to do that in a minute. Then we've got baking powder. Now, there's a teaspoon of baking powder. Now, if you want this gluten-free, you can actually use gluten-free baking powder. You don't have to use the normal one. We have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract there, 6 eggs that are going to be beaten. And then for the syrup, there's a juice of a lemon, and I put a cinnamon stick in as well, but we will do that later on. So the first thing we have to do is we've got to prepare the fruit. And when I say prepare it, we boil it. I know that there are a lot of orange cakes about as well, where you boil the fruit. So what I did earlier was I got 3 clementines here, and I filled up with water above them, put them on, and they boiled for 2 hours. And they've gone very, very soft, and there's a really lovely smell now in the kitchen. I'm going to take those out, and I'm going to cut them in half. And the reason I cut them in half is only because I want to take out the seeds. You don't really want any seeds when you start whizzing them up in the food processor. So I will do that now, whiz them up in the food processor, and I'll be back to assemble the rest of the cake. I just wanted to show you how beautiful these clementines were here. The skin is so thin, and there are no seeds inside at all. And they're really, really soft. And so what we do is the whole lot goes into the food processor, skins and all, and that's what gives it that lovely, it's not bitter, but it has this kind of astringency. I talk about astringency quite a lot. And yes, so I will whiz these up and pop them in a bowl, and then we will assemble everything else. Here is the consistency that we want. You need it to be without the skins, really. I mean, you can see the skins because they're the darker bits in there, and that is the consistency. So I'm just going to put that into this bowl. And my cameraman had a taste and said it's very sweet and bitter at the same time. So, excuse me, I'm just coughing because I ate nuts, which isn't very good. Right, okay, let me just get rid of that. So the next thing that we need to do here is we need to put everything else in, but I just want to talk about cardamom for a minute, because in this kitchen, I have a magic windowsill, and it is over near the sink, and I am just going to get a very special plant from this magic, oh, let me just take that thing as well, from this magic windowsill. And this plant here is a cardamom plant. And I'm really chuffed, as you can see, that I am growing cardamom. I got it last year, I think it was at the beginning of the spring, and it's been repotted already once, and it is doing absolutely fantastic. So what happens is, from the ends of these shoots here comes a flower, and then the flower has these amazing seeds. Now, whether I will get flowers and seeds like that, whoever knows. And then what you do is, shall I move the plant, Mr. Cameraman, or not? I think it's in the way, isn't it? All right. So here are the cardamom seeds. Well, these are the pods, actually. The seeds are inside. And what you do is you break it open and then, oops, fling the seeds about. That's what you do. And then you put them all in there. So I've got, as you can see here, I've got about, well, we like cardamom, so I've got about 10 pods. Some of them were a little old, so and this is an old cardamom seed. See, it's a different color. It's like a light brown color. And what you want is you want all the dark brown ones. Now, you can bypass this process and you can actually buy cardamom's pods already made into seeds. You can do that. Or you can buy cardamom powder, because now I'm going to smash this down, but by doing that, it's not going to be as fresh in taste and aroma. That's why I like to have the whole ones here. I mean, I have got the ground and I have got the other as well, but that's only if I don't want a strong cardamom taste, and I do in this particular cake. So I'm just going to smash this down as much as possible. And what I really need now is need Mr. N to do this. Don't I? Okay, so that's good. It's a bit gritty. I'll come back to it in a second. Okay, I've got 2 bowls here. I'm going to put all the dry ingredients into one bowl first. And it's only because I like to mix everything together. So that's the 300 grams of almond. This is the 225 grams of caster sugar. Make sure it's caster sugar and not granulated. It's a little bit too big and the sugar may not break down. Teaspoon baking powder. And then I'm just going to do this again. Oh, I tell you what, I love the smell of cardamom. These are green cardamom pods. These are the ones you can kind of get anywhere, but you can also get big black ones as well that you can use in Indian cooking. I've got those as well, funnily enough. Right, let's give this a little bit of a stir here. That's nicely stirred up. And then I'm just going to add the dry ingredients to the wet. And that means the clementine at the bottom there with swap bowls. I've got 2 teaspoons of the vanilla extract in there. And then I have my 6 eggs that I've just got a fork, giving it a bit of a beat, and that then goes in like that. And I am just going to mix this by hand, or with a spoon actually, not by hand. Normally when I make stuff I usually use my hands, but in something like this I'm not going to. When I make bread I always use my hands. And see? Look how beautiful that is. So that then goes into my prepared dish, and I will show you that and pop it in the oven in a minute. So here is my pan. It's what they call a springform pan. So you have a separate bottom and this contraption here that opens and closes. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen these before. And when I line this, I don't bother putting any kind of grease or butter at the bottom. I just get my size baking parchment, pop this on top, and then just close it like that. And you can see that it's already done. And then I just get some scissors and I'll chop around the sides. And with the extra bits that I've got from the baking paper that I used, and if you are interested in that baking paper, there is a link. I show it in my first video. I'll put a link on this video that you can see my other cake that I made, which was beetroot and chocolate. And I just do that really. There. But I'm just going to get some scissors and just chop around this here just to, well, so that it looks nice, I suppose. Which is pretty quick and easy to do. I mean, you can, like I said before, you can get baking parchment that fits the actual tin. Did I say this was 23 centimetres? 23 centimetres, this one. Thereabouts. Right, that goes back in there. This goes into my bin. And, right, let's do this. I'm going to take this out and use my spatula. Right, let's just pour first. That's a great cake. Now, I'm sorry, but I have to change hands. Thank you, Mr. Cameraman. I also talk about these spatulas that I use in my other video. The link is at the bottom. Looky here. I always give my cakes a bit of a wiggle, give them a little bit of a dance, and I have a dance at the same time. There we are, that's it. I mean, it looks runny, doesn't it? But it's not going to be because we've got all those eggs in there. And I am going to pop this in the oven now. And this goes in here, depending on how it's looking, 50 to 60 minutes. See you later. I was dancing so much that I actually forgot to tell you that the oven temperature is 180 Celsius, 160 fan, gas mark 4, 50 to 60 minutes. So the cake is nearly ready. And I am going to do a syrup for the top of it, which consists of 2 clementines squeezed, the juice of a lemon, 50 grams of sugar, and that is the extra sugar that I was talking about. You'll see it all in the recipe when you go to my website, the recipe will on there, and a cinnamon stick. And you pop it in a pan, put it on a low heat and let it simmer until the sugar dissolves. And when the cake comes out of the oven, I'll show you what you do with it then. So there you go, sugar, cinnamon sticks, or cinnamon stick, a big one, juice of a lemon and juice of 2 clementines. And I'm going to let that simmer gently for about 3 to 4 minutes until everything dissolves. Here's the finished product. As you can see, nice and brown on top. Feels nice and firm to the touch. And then all I've got is I've just got a skewer here, metal skewer, but you could use any kind of skewer. You could use a bamboo skewer. And you just got to make some holes in here. Now, while I'm doing this, if you don't like a kind of sticky, syrupy cake, you could always just do a citrus icing. So just get yourself some icing sugar and mix some clementine juice in it and make up a runny paste and put it over the top and let it drip down the side, and that's beautiful too. So I've got my syrup here, and I'm just going to pour it over the top gently, and it will go into the holes. I'm just going to do that really, really slowly because I want it mainly, not really going down the sides of the pan, because I know it's going to drip out the sides. And then when you cut into this, it's really lovely and sticky. It's, I suppose, a little bit like a lemon drizzle cake. We're nearly there. And then when this is done, and so then the most important thing is you've got to let this cool for at least an hour before you cut into it. Otherwise you're going to, it just won't sink in the syrup. So I'm going to let that now sit for an hour, and then I'll cut it. Ta-da! What's in season?